I think in some crazy ways he's actually underrated. Just the human brain has a hard time comprehending.
It's like, oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. Oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. Oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. So
he cuts across almost anything. He may well be the single most recognizable athlete in the world now, and I understand that world takes in.
He does help our business quite a bit, like no other athlete we have ever seen in the history of athletics, I believe.
Shohei's a GOAT. Best player. He is by far the GOAT. There's just no one close.
この言葉を語っているのはチームメイトではありません。球団を長年率いてきた幹部たちです。どれだけ見てきた人間でも大谷翔平の前では言葉を失う。今回は編成本部長のアンドリュー・フリードマン、ゼネラルマネージャーのブランドン・ゴームズ、球団社長のスタン・カステン、副社長のロン・ローゼン、そして監督のデーブ・ロバーツ、5人の証言でしか知ることのできない本当の大谷翔平をお届けします。まずはフリードマン編成本部長の話からです。
Andrew Friedman, President of Baseball Ops of the Dodgers, joins us now on MLB Tonight. Andrew, I'm going to start with this. First off, congratulations. Big day for the organization and you. Who got the phone call? Who got the much-awaited phone call from Shohei Ohtani? How did that go down? Paint a picture for us.
I did. I was on a Zoom call recruiting a player on my iPad at my son's soccer game, sitting in my car. So I'm wrapping up the Zoom call, phone rings, it's Nez Bolello, it's on my lap. I was like, hey guys, I gotta go. So get up the Zoom call, pick it up. I'm an hour late for my kid's game, so I'm like walking out to the field while talking to Nez, and he says, hey, you got the player. It's gonna go out on Instagram in the next few minutes, you got the player.
So what's the pitch like when you're trying to get a player like Shohei of his magnitude come play for your team? What's the pitch?
I mean, I think part of it was kind of getting into all the different resources we have. Our whole thing is we don't have any hard and fast rules. It's about optimizing for each individual player and getting to know them and being able to, tailor to that, and just how in sync everyone is, from the front office to the coaching staff, to our performance coaches, to our trainers, and how everything is incredibly dialed in. And no matter how you define the success of the last 10 years, our whole goal is to make the next 10 years way better. And we have the farm system, we've got the core talent in place, and for us it's all about winning. And it jived perfectly with everything he was saying.
The gift Ohtani gave you of taking $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think, from our standpoint, I would not have had the guts to propose a deal with 97% deferrals. And so I was floored when that deal was put to us. But at the same time, it jived perfectly with everything he said. I just hadn't connected the dots. Everything for him is about winning. And a lot of times you'll meet with a player in a free agent pitch and they'll say similar things, but never have I seen someone back it up like this. And that Saturday we called some of our players and walked through the story. And they were like, I didn't think I could love him anymore. Like, just the level of admiration shot through the roof.
Can you give me the top three guys, bottom to top, that you were most surprised to get?
I mean, I think Shohei, even going back to 2017, when he was still playing in the MPB and coming over to the States, we spent a ton of time on it. We didn't have the DH at the time, but we did everything we could to try to recruit him and sell him on the city of Los Angeles. In fact, hundreds of hours were spent on that. And when the announcement came that he was going to the Angels, my brother sent me a text and said, hey, great job selling him on Los Angeles. So it had been, front of mind for us for a long time. And so that's clearly number one.
What is something you can tell us about Shohei Ohtani that would explain to the layman the modern day Babe Ruth skill set that you've never seen before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to say I've never seen it before, because I would argue he is the greatest player who's ever played this game. I think in some crazy ways he's actually underrated. Just the human brain has a hard time comprehending this, but I think his work ethic, the determination, the focus, the relentless pursuit of being great at not just hitting but also pitching, and all that entails, It's incredibly impressive. And it's funny, after we won in New York in 24, we're celebrating after. He's like, all right, 9 more. I was like, Shohei, it's not that easy. Then after last year, celebrating, he's like, all right, 8 more. I'm like, Shohei, it's not that easy, but I hope we continue to have that conversation.
Shohei Ohtani, coming out with 103-mile-per-hour fastballs. Take off the executive hat for a second, and just as a fan of the game, when you look at what he does on the diamond, basically a turducken of Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, right? Ace-level, Cy Young-level pitcher, MVP-level hitter. How good do you think that is for the sport of baseball that's right now trying to compete with the NFL and the NBA, just to have the most dynamic superstar in their sport right now? How important that is just for the growth of the game at the moment?
I think it's incredible, and especially as we try to blur lines internationally and grow this game, from a worldwide perspective. And what he has done these last 3 years is historic. And obviously that's great for the game. And you look at marketing dollars and opportunities in baseball compared to other sports and how far we lag behind that. Shohei has a chance to kind of bust through that ceiling and create a lot of opportunity for other players behind him. And as he does that, will only help baseball just continue to grow in popularity.
フリードマン編成本部長が語る大谷翔平との10年は、取れるわけがないという諦めから始まり、かけないという選択はないという確信で終わります。長年追い続けた選手が、今や野球の天井そのものを変えようとしている。それがフリードマン編成本部長の目に映る大谷翔平の姿です。続いては、ゴームズ GM の話です。GM として日々の起用を直接担うゴームズ GM は、大谷翔平の異次元性を最も近い距離で体感してきた人物です。50-50という前人未到の記録はどのように生まれたのか。そして、翌年に投げる投手であることを忘れてしまう瞬間すらあったと語るゴームズ GM が、投手としての復帰をどう管理したのか。正解のマニュアルは存在しないと言い切るゴームズ GM が語る、前例なき苦悩と驚きをご覧ください。
Brandon, it's Brian Kenny. Welcome back to MLB Now.
Thanks, BK. Appreciate you having me.
Great having you back here. So how was that for clinching? I don't know if you anticipated that last night, right?
Yeah, everybody saw the 6 for 6 with 10 ribbies and 20 runs out of the whole team. So it was great. Obviously, 50-50 is incredible. Something that we may not ever see again. And then to do it in the way he did it, along with, punching our ticket to the postseason again, pretty special night all around.
Was there any design on that, either from him or from the team, to say this is your 1 year not pitching, or, at least we know this, you're not going to be pitching, to open him up on the base paths?
I mean, he had talked about it really early on about wanting to be more aggressive on the bases, and I'm certainly not going to be one to doubt Shohei in any way. So, you watch him prepare every night on how to, get the best leads, any tips that the pitcher may have as far as when he's going home versus picking. So his work ethic is unmatched. And then obviously the talent is, elite. So you put those together and you have something incredibly special.
When you say Ohtani doesn't count against your pitching staff because he's also a DH, it means you could still carry essentially like a 13 and a half pitchers, right?
Right. So you maintain
plus 13.
Yes. The 6-man rotation is challenging when you then have a 7-man bullpen, and we know how hard that is. That takes one short start to kind of blow things up. So his ability to be a two-way player, we can still maintain an 8-man bullpen, which is incredibly helpful.
What is the plan with Ohtani?
I think he's going to continue his rehab program. And last year, it was challenging because as he was about to get into a deeper part of the pitching progression, we were going into the playoffs and talked like, okay, is it really worth ramping up to live BPs as you're taking your first playoff at bats? Like, we can't risk losing this guy from our lineup. So that was a give and take. So there's a little bit of, we're making sure we hit these boxes on the front end here, and we'll build him up. And then when he's ready to go and has gone through his live BPs, then he can kind of plug back into the rotation. But a lot of that is figuring it out along the way because of the unique nature of, he can't just go out on a rehab assignment, right? Like we would lose our DH, who happens to be a pretty good hitter. So we'll see how these things continue to progress, and we have a decent idea. But, we haven't done this as an organization before. So we'll take his feedback and make sure it fits all together with making sure that he's as healthy as possible in the batter's box and then also on the mound, but, through the stretch run of the regular season and into October.
Not only what he does on the field, but off the field as well, what his value is. And was there anything that he did that surprised you? I mean, he was spectacular again, third unanimous MVP, but anything you learned about?
Yeah, I mean, I think the dedication to his routine and process each day, the homework that he would do, digging in on pitchers tells, like, Shohei's obviously fast. He's not the fastest guy in the big leagues. So he is putting in the homework, understanding the times to run, pick and choose his spots and making sure that it's balanced out with the game situation. So his routine and how dialed in he is on that is a whole nother level than what anybody could have expected. And then you start to think about, he just went 50-50, was this amazing player. And he's also one of the best pitchers in the game. It's kind of hard to fathom. There were times last year we just forgot that he's also going to pitch the following year. So, really excited to watch both sides of it this year and watch him go through his process on that side, working with our pitching group, and see what, the raises game to another level on that side as well.
It's never going to stop being a question, right? How long can he do both? So do you go into 2026 thinking he's both? And how long do you think he can do this thing which feels supernatural and superhuman for anyone? Take it away.
Yeah, the beauty of this year and the build-up and the unique nature of it was just like talking with Shohei along the way. Because I know that there's nobody else on planet Earth that can articulate what he's going through, because nobody else can do what he does. So it's like, hey, Sho, how do you feel? What do you need? You've done this before. You've done it for a while at an incredibly high level. So a lot of that rehab process and then really finishing his rehab in the major leagues was with the idea of like, hey, what's the ultimate goal come October? Okay, pitch through the entire month. Great. Let's kind of think about it this way and build up so that, you're hitting your peak when needed. And, going into that last regular season start, talking with them, we all felt like it was important to try to get that sixth up, get into the sixth inning. It was like, we were all on the same page, knowing that, hey, we're taking the reins off now and you're going to go out there and be used like a normal pitcher. And nobody was more excited about that and adamant that like, hey, I'm ready to do whatever you guys need. So it's, there are no words to describe what he's capable of. And I'm sure as heck not betting against him that he's going to do it as long as he possibly wants to, because he's as good as they come on both sides of the ball. And, I think there's a little bit of like, I can't believe that this is happening again. It's like, oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. Oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. Oh, that's the greatest thing I've seen. So I think two of the things that we may never see again is the 3-homer and pitch 6 innings in a playoff game. And then to give Yamamoto credit, I'm not sure we'll ever see.
これ以上すごいものはないだろう。でもまた更新される。毎回更新される現実を目の当たりにし続けてきたゴームズ GM だけが持つ確信に満ちた言葉です。しかしフリードマン編成本部長もゴームズ GM も大谷翔平のビジネスとしての価値については実は正確に把握しきれていなかったといいます。その全貌を最も深く語ることができる人物がカステン球団社長とローゼン副社長です。まずはカステン球団社長の話です。
Shohei Ohtani questions for you. Is there a way that you can quantify the business impact that Shohei has had on the Dodgers? Like, is there a number?
There are many numbers, none of which I will share publicly, but yes, all I can say is it exceeded everything that we anticipated. And we anticipated a lot. We didn't know it would have this kind of impact. But more importantly, not just for the Dodgers, the impact it has had for Major League Baseball. The combination of the Dodgers' long-standing legacy and stature in the sport, combined with this newfound celebrity of the the most popular global baseball player right now, has really propelled interest in our game, not just domestically, which it has, but increasingly around the world. And that's a great opportunity for baseball to capitalize on. We've had our eye on greater internationalization for a decade or two. This has really given us a heads up, a leg up on the next thing that we can do, not just in Japan, not just in Korea, where we also have had players from, but increasingly around the world where baseball is reaching out. You've seen all that baseball has been doing in Europe for the last few years.
Yeah.
That is continuing. We have our eyes on the Indian subcontinent because of their affinity for cricket and the similarities to baseball. So this newfound attention that baseball is having because of the Shohei phenomenon, yes, it has impacted us tremendously, but it's been an even bigger impact for baseball at large.
It sounds like what you're saying is it's only a matter of time now before we start to see major league caliber players come out of Europe, potentially come out of India. Am I putting words in your mouth?
No, I hope that's right. I was in the NBA before we had any Europeans in basketball. Try to imagine the NBA today without Europeans in it, right? So that day is coming, that they will get here. I don't know when. I don't know if it's 2, 5, or 10 years, but all of us have our eyes on it. And with increasing globalization, with increasing exposure of our game around the world, will come the next wave of players also, and that'll be a great day.
Well, I guess one of the potential hurdles of that, which is not a case for a combat sport, is that baseball's complicated. Like, there's a lot of rules that do you feel like that's a hurdle as you expand the game internationally?
And yet 7- and 8-year-olds seem to do just fine
in this country.
Okay. Yeah,
sure,
exactly. So it can't be that complicated.
Well, I suppose.
It's not a run up and down and hit a goal thing like hockey or like basketball. I get, but even those things have rules around the edges. Yeah, ours is 3 outs, 3 strikes, 4 balls, 9 innings. Like I said, 7- and 8-year-olds can master that, so I don't think it's too complicated.
I guess, yeah. I mean, 7- and 8-year-olds can master a language too, but try teaching a 50-year-old a language, you know? It's a lot harder.
Well, that's why increasingly we need to make sure every 7- and 8-year-old is exposed to baseball. And that's why it's so important that we get even more exposure across every platform we can think of.
Another Ohtani question, because you kind of led right into it, which is that you said he exceeded your expectations. Yeah. You tried to sign Shohei, whatever that was, 7 years ago or so, at that point, and he said no, and he signed with the Angels. Then you got to him this time. What has surprised you the most about what your expectations were when you signed him to what actually has happened?
Well, there's 2 things, 2 ways I'll answer. First, the business side is obviously it has increased our revenues, ticketing, sponsorships. You look around our stadium, we have a lot of new sponsors that weren't candidates for sponsorship a few years ago because we have a lot of foreign international sponsors. So that has been helpful. You can't walk around this stadium any time of day, any day of the year without running into a group. And we have 4 different languages for our groups. Every day of the year, we have business coming in. I've heard a number that 30% of the visitors to Los Angeles from Japan make a stop at Dodger Stadium. So those are some of the business things. One of the things we learned after the news broke in Korea about the swindle of his translator was we didn't know all the things about Shohei that we know now. Once that wall came down, before then, we were being told Shohei doesn't want this, Shohei doesn't want that. It really never was about Shohei. It was what the translator didn't want. We just didn't know that. Once he left, all of a sudden, and that wall came down, we realized what a funny guy he is, what a fun guy he is, what a cooperative guy he is, what a great teammate he is. There's not a player on our team who doesn't love him as a teammate, no one who works harder. And a lot of those things we didn't know when we signed him. We were going to sign him anyway, because just what he does on the field is amazing. But we've learned that subsequent, and it's just been fantastic.
You won last year. You are humming on all cylinders on the field, in the ledger. What Mark Walter said recently, there was no better free agent signing in history than Shohei Ohtani. Of course, we can do that on the field. I got it. He's a great player, great hitter. I want to do the business of Shohei. You are the CEO of the team. Back up for me with some specifics why he is the greatest signing in the history of baseball.
Well, first of all, whenever we sign anyone, including Shohei, the first and most important consideration is what can he do for the team? How can he help us win a game on the field? If he can't do that, he cuts into any value he could possibly have. We're not like other sports where one player moves the needle in terms of celebrity or fame. That's not us. We need someone to contribute to winning games. And he came out with very high check marks on all of those metrics. In terms of off the field, I know you want specifics, and you also know I don't give you specifics, but I will tell you this.
Give me some really good generalities. He's done this, he's done that.
We pay him cash every year, $2 million a year. I can safely admit he has cleared that hurdle for us in terms of
We'll ask a little bit of specifics, and obviously you don't have to give. According to Sportico's numbers, the Dodgers just passed $1 billion in annual gross revenue. The first baseball team to do that. Roughly, what percentage is coming from overseas? You mentioned the international.
Oh, not a lot. No, not a lot. I mean, unless you count overseas visitors coming to the game, and I couldn't give you a specific.
Yeah, which I'm not. Yeah,
but that's really increased. Remember, international rights belong to Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And the way our game is growing, recently it started in Europe. Increasingly now it's in the Pacific Rim. I think we have played a major role in increasing our visibility and our appeal and monetization opportunities across the Pacific Rim. But we get 1/30 of that. That is to the benefit of all of baseball, and we're happy to lead the way there. But that's really something that is centralized and all of us can share it.
But you have team sponsors that are Japanese companies, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but okay, well.
That's part of what I'm asking.
We have about a dozen different sponsors, and they range from $100K to multi-million-dollar sponsors. So that's definitely true. But even that helps other teams because while we are sold out of our premium inventory, sponsors go to other cities when we are on the road. It's not an accident that behind the plate when Shohei is up, you see a Japanese sponsored ad. That's not a coincidence. It's also cheaper than buying them at Dodgers just because of the viewing habits, but there again is a way that we can contribute to helping all of baseball. We were, just like last year when Shohei was considering us, we walked around the locker room and he observed that we were still one of the teams, I think most teams, that only has one batting cage at home. And I said, oh, you only have one batting cage? And we said, oh, would you like two? I said, well, yeah, two is really, of course, I spent so much time there, I don't want to take up time from the other players. So we said, oh, we're putting in a second batting cage, which we did. This offseason, as we're finally getting to the second batting cage, and we're having, and to dig down to do that, we had to completely raise the lower deck, take all the seats out and dig down. So one day Shohei was in my office in the offseason, and he sees all this stuff going on, and I say, you know, Sho, last year you were 50-50, okay? And we won the Team Silver Slugger Award for offense. We did all that with one batting cage. Are you sure we need this? And he looks at me very sincerely, says, Stan, the batting cage is my home. Okay, that's all I need. That's all I needed to know. So we have two batting cages and the world's most phenomenal array of Japanese toilets, and we're proud of all of those things.
The business of Shohei Ohtani. Individual, team, league. What he means to team, league, sport. What would that be?
It would, first of all, be a master of all of the disciplines, because he cuts across every demographic now. He cuts across geography. He is, if you go to Japan, you won't go a block without a billboard that doesn't have his face on. And he's very finicky about it. He's only associated with top brands. It's why when Joe Kelly's wife led the charge for him to sign here even though it would mean her husband had to give up number 17. After he signed, he went to their house and gifted her a Porsche, because Porsche is one of his sponsors. He can do things like that. So he has hardware, electronics, watches, baseball technology. He doesn't do podcasts yet. I don't think even in Japanese. Really? But I wouldn't rule it out. He doesn't quite have the breadth that LeBron has amassed at this stage in his career, but he's quite a bit earlier in his career than LeBron is. So I don't know what the future holds in terms of media, but in terms of advertising, sponsoring, he cuts across almost anything. He may well be the single most recognizable athlete in the world now, and I understand that world takes in soccer, cricket, and everything else. He really may be the leader.
I have got to start with the most obvious. Ohtani, the love for your uniform. Did it exceed your expectations, or was it just like you thought it would be?
No, it definitely has exceeded our expectations. He is a magnificent player. He's a magnificent teammate and a magnificent guy. That's a combination you don't find. He's a home run hitter. He's a base stealer. You don't find that combination. Oh, and he pitches. So, yes, this is beyond anything. But what is really great, what a good guy he is. How good he is in the clubhouse with his teammates, with the staff. It's unique in my history that I've seen. And I've been around a lot of ball players and a lot of sports. He is unique in every way I can think of.
Titles, he won 2 championships, and it's interesting. Some people are like, oh yeah, but the Dodgers spend more money. Well, everybody can spend the money. It's just you make that choice whether to do it or not. And Shohei Ohtani, though, is unlike a lot of athletes, not just as a player, because I've never seen anybody who can hit and pitch and then, oh, I can't pitch, I'll just steal 50 bases. Like, it's weird. Just the guy is unreal how good he is. But when you signed him, I've read lots of stories that talked about how the ability to market him in his own country was something that you're going to get a lot of that money back just through that. And you being in the marketing game as a president, you talk about making money, like the ability to go to a completely other country on the other side of the world for your sport and help it maximize. Like, that's something that's really, it's I wouldn't say unheard of, but there's not a lot, like, and the biggest NBA star was big in North America, and they're big a little bit in Europe, but it's not at the same level, Stan. How has that changed the game in the ability to go, across continents and other places?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it, because, yes, we have become very popular in Japan, not making money from Japan over there, but by Japanese sponsors coming over here, wanting to spend their money, Japanese tourists wanting to come over here and spend their money, because it's important to remember in baseball, unlike other sports, we do not control the rights to our brand outside of the city of Los Angeles, a little bit beyond that. Everything beyond that, domestically, and everything internationally belongs to Major League Baseball. So this has been a tremendous boon for Major League Baseball. And we have often observed, and everyone in baseball would agree, the legacy, the history of the Dodgers and everything that came before it, and Jackie Robinson, Sandy Koufax, Fernando Valenzuela, all of that combined with the stature of the best player in the game, that was baseball's golden moment. That was putting its best foot forward. It couldn't have had a better mix of product and location to really help baseball kick off its internationalization hopes and merchandising around the world. Shohei arguably is the most popular player in the world right now. He's on a level with the Messis and the Jordans, and he's still in his prime, so we're fortunate to have him. It's great for the Dodgers and for Dodger fans, but it's even better for all of Major League Baseball.
I mean, speaking of overseas, we were able to go to Tokyo, and what an experience.
I got this dress in Tokyo.
Yeah, she did get that dress in Tokyo. And that was just such an experience. I mean, as a fan who's loved baseball my whole life, to be there and see it through a whole different culture's eyes and honestly feel like what you guys are building and the culture you've built through the Dodgers feels like the respect and the love and the it felt so in sync, but on a whole different level there.
Yeah, we were blown away. I mean, not just because Shohei's face is on every billboard and every commercial, but walking around and seeing everyone in Dodger hats. I mean, we really are building a beautiful community through our podcast, and we met through the Dodger community, so we are already so grateful. But to just walk around and be amongst each other, and I mean, the silence when Shohei got up to bat at the Tokyo Dome is something we'll never forget.
Two things stood out to me. One was what you just talked about, the omnipresence of Shohei, how overwhelming it is. It's, we talk about Lionel Messi and we talk about Michael Jordan, and Shohei's like that. He's one of those, especially in Japan, and increasingly around the world, not just Japan. That's number one.
You feel like you're like living like baseball history with the whole Ohtani phenomenon. I mean, in your lifetime, did you ever think that you'd see a guy do what?
I absolutely do. Yeah. And how many times have we seen something that we say, I've never seen that before, or that can't be, or that's impossible.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right.
And he would do it. And on top of all of that, he's the most comfortable, down-to-earth guy around the team in the locker room, which we did not know.
Yeah.
While he still had, the interpreter standing between him and everyone else. Once that wall came down and we could really get to know him, I can't tell you, in terms of combination of the kind of player he is, the kind of athlete he is, and the kind of person he is, it's been literally a dream come true. I tell everyone around, I tell my grandkids, my kids grew up as Braves fans. My grandkids have only known Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I tell them all, appreciate every day of this, because it will come to an end someday, and you will be talking about this for the rest of your lives, because this is not normal.
No, it's not normal.
It's super normal, and we should all appreciate every day of it. And I try.
For sure. I mean, it's so funny when baseball changed they brought in the DH and it was only in the American League. And then, of course, it's both leagues. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere, literally, who can pitch and hit. And it's baseball like, oh, what do we do with this guy? It's like we just changed the rules.
Well, I tell people, the year before last when he did 50-50, I tell people, we know what a 50 home run hitter looks like. We know how strong and big that person looks like. We know what a 50 base stealer looks like. Small, little, quick. Those are not the same bodies.
Yeah.
And here is this big guy who can do both. Oh, and by the way, he also pitches.
Pitches. Yeah.
So
he's pretty damn good on the mound.
I was asking the other day, we all compare him to Babe Ruth because the hitting and pitching, they really only did both for 1 year.
Is that right? See, I didn't know.
Who's done it since?
Yeah,
nobody. It's a century.
Yeah.
No one's even tried it since.
No. But
that's extraordinary.
Yeah, that's why I said you're living through baseball history. Yeah. I mean, it's sports history. It's incredible.
I did get him to laugh once. He does the hitting, he does the base, he does the pitching. I go, have you ever tried switch hitting? He said, no. I said, why not? You were doing everything else. And then the next thing I was going to ask him was switch pitching. But he decided not to do that. So
that's hilarious. You never know, man. He could show up in spring training with like 2 gloves.
I wouldn't put it past him.
バッティングケージは僕の家なんですという言葉に始まり、毎日を大切にしろ。これはいつか終わるからだという孫への言葉で終わる。カステン球団社長が語る大谷翔平は、プレーの話でも数字の話でもなく、一人の人間としての話でした。そしてそのビジネス的インパクトの実態を最前線で見てきた人物がいます。続いてはローゼン副社長の話です。
12 straight years of making the postseason. What's it mean for your business, and especially with players like Ohtani?
Well, what it means for our business is everything. We're really fortunate to have an ownership group that actually puts money into the organization and helps us achieve the goals we want to do. We've been there since 2012. That year we did not make the playoffs, but every year since we have, and we will make it this year. even based on last night's game. We still will. Our business has been really incredible in the last couple of years because of Shohei Ohtani. This was one of our bobbleheads. He does help our business quite a bit, like no other athlete we have ever seen in the history of athletics, I believe.
I will say that I've been told plenty of times that this organization makes more money in sponsorship revenue from Japan because of Ohtani and other players than maybe up to 10 baseball teams make in terms of their total sponsorship revenue. I'm not saying you have to confirm or deny that, but it shows the volume of business you do in that marketplace.
Shohei delivers in many different ways, pitching, hitting, in the box office, in the sponsorship, wherever it is. Yes, he does very well for us. And then again, I think that it's helped baseball throughout the country. When you watch the Dodgers play wherever we're playing, every time Shohei's up at bat, you see Japanese signage right behind.
フリードマン編成本部長が長期的なプランでかけた。ゴームズ GM が現場で苦悩しながら信じた。カステン球団社長が想定を超えた現実に驚き続けた。そしてローゼン副社長がビジネスの数字で証明した。4人がそれぞれの立場で語る大谷翔平像はどれも重なり合いながら同じ一人の選手を指し示しています。しかし最後に最も近い距離で大谷翔平を見てきた男の証言が残っています。グラウンドで毎日向き合いワールドシリーズの死闘を共に戦い抜いたロバーツ監督です。ではご覧ください。
Few names. Who are your favorite players on this team? I mean,
yeah,
you know,
I've got an embarrassment of riches.
You do.
First and foremost, it's hard not to start with Shohei Ohtani. And this guy is not only a generational player, I just think he's a one of one. And people use the term GOAT, one of one, a lot. But a guy that can do what he does and then kind of take on the world, the burden of being the face of baseball, is pretty special. So throwing 100 miles an hour, hitting 50 homers, stealing 50 bases.
Yeah.
Face of baseball, Shohei Ohtani.
No, it's certainly an embarrassment of riches. And, you know, we start with Shohei. It's so hard to encapsulate what he does because there's nobody that's analogous to what the guy is doing. There's nobody. I mean, we go back to Babe Ruth, but I'm like, it's like Patrick Mahomes if he was a lockdown cornerback. Like, I don't. How do you kind of describe Shohei Ohtani to a casual observer?
It's like two people in one. And I say that because, you know, we win the World Series this year. He starts game 7. He goes almost 3 innings, doesn't have his best stuff, gives up a 3-run home run to Bichette and Bo Bichette. He then has to recalibrate, compartmentalize that he's not pitching anymore. Now focus on the hitting. He gets 2 hits in that game, gets on base a 3rd time, still a good teammate because if you think about this, you start a game, you don't pitch well, you're out mentally.
Yeah.
But he has to have the capacity to still post as a hitter. And so essentially you're 2 people. So then as he gets ready for a major league game, you're getting ready from the savage killer part of it as a pitcher because you control the game because you're pitching. But on the other side, you're getting ready as a hitter to be ready to take on 5 at-bats. And then not only that is every single player in the ballpark that paid money that night is there to watch him. And you're not talking about just the U.S. You're talking about all of Japan.
Yeah.
And so to have to take that on, no one's done that. You know what I'm saying? And you got Patrick Mahomes, who is unbelievable. But then now he's not playing middle linebacker or he's Deion Sanders on an island,
he was
right?
Patrick Surtain, too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because now you're talking about a quarterback that's on the offensive. And then now you got to go and think about the defense and be locked down. So he's one
and
of
he's
one.
stealing bases. I mean,
That's
unbelievable.
Right.
And then you recently told a story about him paying for his teammate's mother's cancer treatment.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing is that, and this was on under the radar that I kind of blew the whistle on this a few years ago because, you know, guy we had in camp and, you know, I try to do things, Zach, early on in spring training and try to get our team together because in spring training, there's a lot of players, right? So pitchers, hitters, veterans, young players, relievers, starters. So my job is to try to make this whole thing work. So what I try to do is introduce a player, and I get to introduce a player, tell about the player, make jokes about the player, make them do some funny things, light hazing. So I don't want to get canceled. It's just light. It's all in fun. And so one of our players said his mom's going through a bout of cancer. And then so Shohei on the down low donate a ton of money for the care because they weren't getting the care. And so I saw the mom in the World Series because he's now one of his brothers now with the Blue Jays, and she sought me out and really thanked me for that, and Shohei as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it.
Incredible story.
Last thing, we talked about GOATs in basketball. Is Shohei the GOAT?
Shohei's a GOAT. Shohei's a GOAT. I'll tell you this. Barry Bonds is the best hitter I've ever seen. I can't speak to Babe Ruth, can't speak to Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, you know, all these guys, Orlando Cepeda, but Roberto Clemente. But Barry Bonds is the best hitter I've ever seen. But as far as best player, most talented player, he is by far the GOAT. There's just no one close.
さて、いかがでしたか？今回はドジャース幹部と監督が語る大谷翔平という現象をご紹介しました。5人が異なる立場から語っているにもかかわらず、全員が同じ結論にたどり着いていることが印象的です。個人的に最も心に残ったのは、ロバーツ監督が語ったチームメイトの母親への無言の寄付です。誰にも言わずに、ただ動く。フィールドでのパフォーマンスと同じように、人としての行動でも普通じゃない選手。それが大谷翔平なのだと改めて感じました。日本から生まれた選手が今やメッシやマイケル・ジョーダンと同列で語られ、カステン球団社長が孫に毎日を大切にしろと語り継ぐほどの伝説になっている。これは日本の野球ファンとして誇らしい気持ちを通り越して、もはや現実として受け止めきれないほどの話です。あと8回の言葉が現実になる日まで、これからも一緒に見届けていきましょう。皆さんは今回登場した5人の証言の中で、誰のどの一言が最も印象に残りましたか？ぜひコメント欄で教えてください。最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。この動画が良かったと思っていただけましたら、ぜひ高評価とチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いします。